Well. It is the most wonderful time of the year. We are so getting... I haven't even changed my shirt. We're getting after it so hard. Welcome to the opening day edition of the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk.
Finally here.
Week 26, the show 26. Gonzo Radio Sports Desk number 26. I'm Big Daddy Gonzo, seated across from me, who can barely contain himself. That is the Mazz. Say hi to the nice people.
Good morning, nice people.
Yeah, it's a morning. I give you that. It's definitely a morning. Our first full slate of NFL action. For those of you joining us that clicked on the link for the Gonzo Radio Network, the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk tab. Hopefully you're watching with that. I'm going to jump over to the YouTube chat room and see if anybody's actually paying attention over there right now. But we have a whole lot to get to, and we've only got about 90 minutes to do it. And yes, it's going to probably take up all 90 minutes. We are running the gamut of fantasy football today, from DFS to leagues, to what you should do if you're betting, if you're putting a little money on a game here, there, everywhere, point spread, over, under, this, that, the other thing. We're going to cover a lot of ground and a lot of bases, and I'm probably going to change my shirt on the break. Not now, but on the break.
I think you look great, by the way, in the shirt.
Yeah,
it represents toughness and attitude and football and everything that we're looking for today, right?
Sun's out, guns out.
There it is. There it is.
So mushy in the morning.
That's okay.
It's like
great shadowing, though.
If I did this after a workout, it'd be like bam, 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 and cramp and But it is what it is. It's the morning, and I've been doing nerd stuff rather than doing jocks. Hey, how you doing? It's a time loop. We are all jacked up on coffee too. We are coffeeing it up, and here come the messages. Who's messaging me? Stop messaging me, whoever you are. Come back. Well, I'll tell you what. While I deal with the communications problems, I'm going to turn things over to you, because we have issues with, and I'm not going to say his name. Okay, but I will say this right now: everybody who is watching the show, all 14 or 15 of them that are watching the show, they are now currently probably peeing their pants because they're seeing a really funny meme. And then we're going to cut to you and tell us, Mazz, what exactly? How do you feel about the whole situation with the Oakland Raiders and the New England Patriots and a certain wide receiver who I will call him Voldemort? Because you know what? He plays for the evil empire now. He's one of them.
How can the NFL wake up this morning and look at themselves in the mirror and feel like that this whole process is okay? All right? How do you reward anyone, especially AB, for the antics, for the misery, for the bullshit, for the back and forth, to now the team having to change directions once again, how it's going to affect the rest of the guys in that locker room, and what they put forth for him, all this wrapped up in a bag. And Antonio Brown said what? He told the GM to go F himself and whatever else happened. He quit, and then 2 hours later signed with the lovely New England Patriots. Now,
lovely.
How does this happen? How is it that in a society today where it becomes okay to throw a tantrum, piss off your boss, not live up to your contract, say you want to be let go, and then within 2 hours get rewarded with another contract? What kind of message does that send? Now, on the flip side of this isn't really a problem that I have with the Patriots, although obviously it would make sense that a team like the Patriots would sign somebody like this under all these circumstances. But what gets me even further is that the ink wasn't even dry.
You know what? I'm retiring. I can't play with this shirt. I can't play in this shirt. I'm retiring.
The ink wasn't even dry yet on the contract, the dismissal of Antonio Brown from the Raiders. And then all of a sudden, 2 hours later, he signed with the Patriots. How's that possible? How is it that all that paperwork got done? The lawyers, the agents, the players, the team members, everybody's involved in this whole contract signing process and every contract that's ever done. How is it that all that got done so quickly in 2 hours? How? Well, because the NFL allowed it, and the Patriots were the one on the other end who was going to be a part of that whole process. Not good for the NFL. Not a good look. To me, I just don't understand how if there were no safeguards in place already to protect something like this sort of situation from happening, then the NFL needs to wake up this morning and put something in place. They need to realize that this sort of message that they're sending out is not okay. It's not okay that if an employee is unhappy and acts the way he does, can on his terms be then let go, and then on his terms go out and find other employment. Now, I get it. The Patriots are paying this guy money too, and they're taking a chance. But what should be in place by the NFL, if not already in place, is
Not a better shirt.
they should wake up this morning and say, you know what, guys, we messed up, and this situation should never happen again. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have football court. And when a player or a situation like this arises again, he has his day in football court. And if he loses in football court, he sits out a year. He's not able to go find employment in any other team for the entire season. And then next year, you know what? We come back to the table again. But apparently, at least to my knowledge, that's not the way it works in the NFL. And it's just it's a black eye, I think, for the NFL, who right now, whatever side of the fence you sit on with the whole kneeling and the other and this whole me generation now in the NFL and the whole political perspective now that's in sports.
Millennials, God damn
Whatever side you sit on, it doesn't seem to me that it's a positive direction. It seems like things are regressing societally and also through our sports. And to me, it's a shame. Something's got to be done.
Well, it's like I've told you before, and it's like I've said on my other show, by the way, the Gonzo Radio Show, every Monday night at 8 p.m. That's more entertainment and wild and wacky news stories and interviews. But anyway, like I've said before, first of all, the millennial generation, a different animal. I would compare them to the me generation of the late 60s, early 70s, the hippies and whatnot, the ones that, broke through with the free love and all that, where our society became more metaphysically touchy-feely. Well, now the millennial generation's kind of taking it next level with technology, with political correctness, with entitlement. Okay, so, well, why can't I? Well, then go ahead and give it a shot. And we as a society, we either have to capitulate with it, and they do force capitulation on a lot of fronts because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, but that's my issue.
And they're
is
not
that
dying soon.
Bad behavior now
So
is
bad
capitulating us to have to change how we view it.
True.
And I don't
Totally
like that.
true.
And I'm sure most people out there don't. So either we take a stand against it or we capitulate. And again, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be able to correct something that's clearly wrong and then set forth a narrative so that the same stuff doesn't happen again.
Well, part of that capitulation came with their recent CBAs, their collective bargaining agreement. Let's remember now, NFL players and professional sports players of all different sports, professional athletes, they have collective bargaining agreements now with the owners because they all have unions. Baseball, hockey, everybody has a union. Basketball, okay, and they negotiate the terms of how their treatment is. So that their agents, failed lawyers, guys who got their law degree but they couldn't pass the bar, their agents know their contracts and their agents know the terms of these collective bargaining agreements, so they're going to be able to work through that. You never used to even think or hear of anybody wanting to hold out a whole season. Remember when Emmitt Smith held out for the Cowboys, and he missed the first 3 games? And that was amazing.
It was a big story. Yeah, it was huge. But again, obviously it's much different now. The players are making a lot more money, and they've got more money, I guess, in the bank. They figure they can hold on to it for a little bit longer and not have to worry about the next paycheck. Not a good approach because they don't get many paychecks in the NFL, and most players, I think, realize this. So it's sad. It's sad for me to think that week 1 of the NFL season, that this is a story when everything should be about steps forward instead of steps back and regression and looking at things in such a negative light.
Those limited number of paychecks, that small window of your career, that's a big reason why they're doing what they're doing. Okay, that's the reason why they want to get that money faster. This is backlash against rookie salary slotting.
Okay.
It's a backlash against the rookie salary cap.
Antonio Brown walked away from $30 million. He has to give $30 million back to the Raiders. Now, he got $9 million from the Patriots guaranteed. So he's still negative $21 million. So for him in that situation, it can't be about money. But I think his situation is fairly unique because I think that there's some issues with AB, maybe personally, psychologically. Whatever, I don't know what it is, but certainly there's issues there. So
cranial trauma encephalopathy.
This may not end up being a total indictment on AB because as a player, you're going to want to put yourself in a situation where you feel it's best for you. So I can't say he's not attempting to do that. I just can say that I don't think he's doing it under the right mindset. And that's something that's up to AB and the league and whatever they want to address at some point. Because, listen, a player doesn't act like he has over the last few years and then all the problems just go away. Right. Okay. Now this is just another spot where he's landed for maybe a few weeks. He's on his best behavior, and whatever the case may be, maybe they sat him down and said, "Listen, here's the deal. We're zero strike policy here in New England, and you're going to come in under these terms, and you're going to play this way." And you know what? If that's the case, I can't see that working either. He's never taken any sort of either criticism or I don't know what else you want to call it, coaching, I guess, in terms of who he is. But whatever. I mean, it's bad for the NFL. This should not be a story week one going into the season.
Well, Michael J. in the chat room says that Adam Schefter, of course, Adam Schefter reports this. While we're busy doing this, that he consulted a social media firm to try to find a way out. Now, we all know social media is the biggest and widest ranging form of free speech, and also the best way to have a large public hissy fit. So this has been an orchestrated evil plan from the get-go, I think. Possibly. I mean, simple as that.
So then you have to admit the Patriots were involved in this in some way.
In some way.
Whether it's other players on the team going, hey, wink, wink, hint, hint, guess what? We're, this, whatever it is. I mean, come on. It's sick. It's sad, and it should never happen.
Well, but listen, once again, it takes me back to the collective bargaining agreement. Okay, these are rules that the owners agreed to, that insisted on, that the players agreed to and insisted on. So this is obviously a system that has gray areas like this.
I don't think they saw this.
Really? Well,
I again don't think that they understood that these sorts of things were going to happen. I think they felt like the Shield was the Shield and the NFL is the NFL, and they're big good guy on the street, and they make the rules. Well, you know what? I guess the NFL got kicked in the balls in the last 3 years.
Always go to the side.
Yeah, well, the NFL is going to become the NBA soon, where it's just like me, and it's all about the player.
And then the NFL players will run it because the NBA players run the NBA now.
You know what?
Players run that shit.
I've one of the reasons why I've never been into college football is only because of a time allotment. Being family, and other responsibilities. I'd love to watch
whole damn Saturday.
Football all weekend long. But you know what I saw yesterday with Army? Do you know what was on the back of their jerseys? Okay, the word Army. It wasn't the players' names. And I don't want to sound like some old school guy where I'm like, oh, it should not be about the team. But you know what, though? There's still some semblance and righteousness in that. And if we saw maybe a little more of that, or if at least there was a little more attention brought to that, back to this is a team sport. Okay, it's not a me sport. So it just makes me sick.
Well, listen. The problem is, Grandpa. Okay, before you start yelling at everybody to get off your lawn, and yes, if the ball comes on my lawn again, it's mine. Okay, but the problem is that the dynamic has changed now. It has changed. It's gone. It's got the whole team loyalty to the very end, to the living end, is gone. Gone. Poof. Gone. You had to know it was gone. I can take you back as far as Joe Montana. Okay, because what you're finding is that the team, the owner, he's got no loyalty to you. Okay? Remember, Eddie DiBartolo traded Joe Montana. Joe Montana.
Listen, I am pro player. I have always been pro player. I understand the owners are billionaires and the players are millionaires. I get it. But that's not what we're talking about here. Everything the Raiders did in this situation was pro player. And what he did was not living up to his end of the deal. And what you're saying is this, you're saying, again, here's our choice. We first recognize that times have changed, and then we have to assess that and say, well, are they better or are they worse? I say, if you can quantify it simply as better or worse, I say they're worse. So then we either accept worse or we try and change worse. And I'm saying we don't accept it because it's the way it is.
Change it.
We change it because we can.
Well, good thing there's a new CBA coming up.
Well, a lot of things have to be done because this direction right now and these sorts of things are not good for the NFL. They're not good for society. We don't have very many things left we can hang on to that we can just close our eyes and get an idea of what's happening because it's been that way before. That's okay to feel like that. But in football and in other sports and other certainly areas of our society, it is a rapid deterioration. And the issue is, if you want to blame a millennial, I don't blame the individual. I blame the society as a whole. Okay, it's our issue. We can't turn our eyes and
It's
put
a
our head in the
millennial
sand.
It's a millennial-driven society.
But they're not the majority, okay? They're not the majority
For
here.
now.
Well, no. They're the majority voice because our voices are not being heard because we're not.
Meemaw and Peepaw kick off, then they're going to be, they're going to be in charge.
All right, we got money to make. Let's talk football.
I was going to say we can sit here and go
Positive
around and around about
Yeah.
30-year-olds.
I think I made my point.
I got football to watch in 1
Yeah.
hour and 42 minutes. I have to watch
All right, let's do it.
primarily the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens, which, by the way, if the Dolphins make the Ravens wear black,
Smart.
they have a really good chance of winning.
It's 600
I don't
degrees
care
outside
that
right now.
Lamar Jackson is from Miami. I'm sure Lamar Jackson knows it. Oh, shit, they're going to make us wear black?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to need extra hydration because they are going to be roasted Ravens. And even if they manage to pull it out, here's the beauty part of being a Dolphin fan right now. Here's the beauty part. If they win, surprise! If they lose, it's as simple as that. It's a shoulder shrug. So,
You got to have some. I mean, for me, if I was a Dolphin fan, again, we talked about it, looking for progress, looking for guys to make some plays. Guys that weren't on the radar are now on the radar because they're playing well. You want positive steps. You know who you are. You just want positive steps. Stuff to hang your head on every week.
Iguavan guy from Canada, he's the guy that caused Kiko Alonso to get traded. So
there's something there, maybe.
There's a guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, enough about these guys. I'm gonna deal enough with these issues in about an hour and a half.
We're getting serious. The glasses are going on.
Well, your glasses are going on. I'm going to keep mine on because we are going to discuss DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. Now, I know I can see you already got that grin on your face. You're like,
I just want to help people. That's all.
Yeah, and listen, and you have been a fabulous and helpful guru. By the way, the guru's guru is on his way out the door to the Dolphins game right now. You fucking sell out. Have fun.
Enjoy the
Wear
game.
black.
Yeah, good idea.
Wear lots of black. Wear that black felt hat too. But he'll be back next week, I think, unless he gets another ticket to another game. Just shut up and go wear black.
I'm gonna wear black. I'm gonna wear white. I'm gonna wear gray.
You just get out of here, you. Go have fun.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson. He's gonna get roasted. He's gonna die of dehydration. Oh, and then maybe not die. I don't wonder what anybody.
That was extreme.
Die.
That was extreme.
A little extreme for death.
AB can die of dehydration.
Shush.
Sorry, just kidding.
Take it easy.
Just kidding.
Bad karma. What's wrong with you?
Just kidding.
Can't take this guy anywhere. All right, so I'm gonna turn things over to you because you are the DFS guru. Now that the guru's guru isn't here, and he's really not a DFS guy anymore.
Well, I mean, just simply, we've talked about it. We're
we
going to
have
use
our own account now.
We're going to use the DraftKings platform. Now, there are many out there. There's FanDuels, there's Fantasy Pros, there's a bunch. We're going to use the DraftKings site and just keep everything kind of simple. Yeah, because we've been familiar with them for a while now.
And they take my money.
And they take his money, correct. So we will have posted on there on the site for you guys to all see what we're doing. My effort each week, guys, is money management. However much you have in your account, you have to establish how much you want to work each week. Listen, we're not in this to make $1 million, clearly, not at least the first year, but we'll get there. My efforts here are just to add to your fun. I know most of you are in season longs and stuff like that.
We put $100 in.
We threw $100 in the account, so we're ready to go.
That's what I do every year.
Yeah. So quickly, a quick tutorial. Cash games. What I mean by that is the 50-50s, ways that essentially you just have to be better than the guy next to you. So they're set up in formats: 20-man, 40-man, 100-man. They're tournaments, cash games. Cash games. You want to come in the top half. No matter where you finish first, or if you finish 50th, let's say in a 100-man rotation, you get the same money. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking
Talk slower. They're writing, I'm sure.
You're looking to build the bankroll. So again, we have our cash game lineup posted, and we also have a tournament lineup posted. You see all these tournaments being put up on the sites. Win $100,000, $200,000. The issues with these big size tournaments is they're very top heavy in how they're paid out. So for beginning players, I wouldn't recommend necessarily getting into those high-end tournaments. Now, we're going to put a tournament lineup in because we're not so much the novices, but we're going to put a tournament lineup in just to show you the differences between the cash game lineups and then why we build a tournament lineup that's slightly different than the actual cash game lineup. So I did my homework. We went all week long. We went through the players. We found values and such like that. So basically, can they visualize it now, Gonzo? Can they see the cash game and tournament lineups on there at all?
Let me show them. Well, first of all, let's get the. I believe we have the. No, wait. The other one. We have I call this the Kirk Cousins lineup.
I like that. That's our cash game lineup.
This is our initial cash game lineup, and that's with the $10 50-50.
Yes, correct. Now, what we've done essentially is we have $100 in the account, and we're going to be doing 20% of our bankroll each week, not to exceed that.
$20.
So,
Easy
again,
peasy.
money management is the key in this, guys. It's a grind. It's not something that you're going to be, unless you're very, very lucky, hitting something on the first day.
Before we go on, I would like to take this opportunity to say that all fantasy football advice is given for the purpose of amusement and recreation and entertainment, not for gambling. If you have a gambling problem, please seek help. Okay, go on.
Ready. So essentially,
you got to be official.
Yeah, you got to be official. So our Cousins lineup is up there. That's our cash game. That's our safe play lineup. Again, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for guys that have high floors. And what I mean by that is an expectation based on a player's performance that you think is safe. So what
Cousins
I did
at home versus Atlanta's secondary.
To me, again, that's a high Vegas total. There's high expected points in that game. I think Minnesota in that game has, I think, the third or fourth highest implied total for their team based on Vegas. Vegas is not wrong. Vegas is in the business of making money.
Right.
They set the lines to be accurate to make you go, hey, which side am I going on? So I think he's the fourth highest of all the quarterbacks, for at least for the 1 o'clock games that we're involved in.
Right, and to be sure to let the people know, or to let our viewers know, okay, pay attention to Vegas and their lines. That's one of the metrics you can use to determine who your players are going to be. I mean, you want as much information as possible on each player. There's no such thing as too much information. You can overthink all you want. There's no such thing as too much information. And one thing that the Mazz uses, and I pay attention to because I call the Mazz and ask him about what does Vegas have to say, and that metric is very valuable because that metric helps you win.
Yeah, 100%. That's like we the whole checkbox theory that Vegas has a box.
Vegas is a box.
That is your baseline, essentially.
So into this lineup.
Yes.
Okay. Now, of course, you have Cousins at the top at quarterback, and
yes.
he was a pretty bargain, pretty much a bargain.
14th or 15th priced in terms of salary. What DraftKings assesses their logarithms and pricing at for sure.
Right. And he's up against, and you see the little green 32, is it?
Yes, on the site.
Which would mean that they are the 32nd ranked. Atlanta is the 32nd ranked
projected.
As per last year, projected 32nd ranked pass defense.
Atlanta's defense wasn't very good this year. They may be a little better this year, but a little better than 32 is still pretty bad. So count on a lot of points in that game. What I did see, which was encouraging also, is that Diggs is going to play today. It's not official yet. The official injury reports haven't come out, but I did see that he is expected to play.
Thielen is still a good stack in spite of Diggs. I don't care if Diggs plays or doesn't play.
And
Thielen is going to be a monster this year.
And well, you know what? Early in drafts, I didn't like where he was being taken, but I still think he's going to get his. He's a potential 100-catch guy as long as they stay to the script and keep him in the slot.
Right.
Remember his last 5 games last year? They were moving the offense around. They were struggling a little bit. They pulled him out of the slot. He didn't have a 5-catch game in the last 5 games.
Right.
So hopefully this year philosophy is good. Dalvin Cook is healthy. I think the Vikings offense moves this year. So that will lead to Cousins having a good game at that price. Now,
backfield.
What I did look at, now this is the interesting part for running backs and receivers. Okay. What I went through is I looked at the projected rankings and with their points where they projected to be for this week. And it looked like to me that there was a little more scoring on the running back side, at least through projections.
Right.
Now, the DraftKings logarithms did reflect that. They did reflect when they set their pricing. Obviously, the higher priced players are expected to perform better. That's how they base their logarithms. Well, clearly, DraftKings feels this week that the running backs are priced higher, therefore they're going to produce more points.
Right.
I went along with that. Okay, I went along with the fact that I was going to pay up this week for running backs because going on that theory that they're going to score more points, I want to set that floor that we talked about as high as I possibly can.
You got a couple of good ones.
So my running backs are McCaffrey and David Johnson.
Right.
Okay. Receivers. Now, going back to the Minnesota game, going to score points. I'm glad Diggs is playing now. People look at players being out
points
and Thielen being in. They're like, well, now Thielen gets all the targets. That works sometimes. You want good targets. You want the defense to be honest.
Right.
And with both guys on the field, Diggs and Thielen clearly is in a better position. So Thielen anchors our wide receivers price-wise. The next 2 guys, they went down in price a little bit because, again, trying to find some value. And I've got Dante Pettis and Dede Westbrook,
Right.
which are the number one targets respectively in both teams.
Right. Now, I hate to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But we have about 4 minutes until the injury report comes out.
Okay.
So let's
Go
cut down
quick.
on the blah blah detail
right.
and get down to the number
Well,
details.
Breida is our flex play. Good. He's in a good spot today. He's the second option, even though I think he's going to be the first
fabulous.
option. And I'm liking the Sea Chickens defense today at home.
And Hunter Henry, of course, we're looking for a huge bounce back season from Hunter Henry.
I can see Rivers throwing the ball 50 times today.
Right.
Okay. Now, again, he's got 2 running backs that can catch passes,
Right.
but the rest of them, they got to go to the outside. They got to go to Henry. Now, the interesting part, which we'll talk about later on, a little prelude, is I love Hunter Henry's today, his props, but we'll get there.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, and we're going to see how much you love Hunter Henry.
Yes.
But you also love the Seahawks defense.
The Sea Chickens, we talked. I love the Sea Chickens defense.
Yeah, because we have.
Because Cincinnati's offensive line is terrible still, and it's a tough travel, even week 1, I think, to go out to Seattle. Seattle's at home. Record is they're north of 75% the last 5 years at home. Tough spot for Cincinnati week 1. I just think Seattle, I just think they bring it today.
Well, here we have the comparison. I have both entries up now. We put a second roster in,
Okay.
which was led by Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, let me explain just real quick about why the lineups are different.
Right.
When you're in tournament lineups, they're much larger fields,
Right.
which means a lot of the players are being taken on similar teams.
Yep.
With the large field tournaments, you want to be different. You want to be on an island with some of your picks because
Right.
if those guys hit at low ownership, it puts you that much further ahead of that large field.
Guys that are down in the sub $4,000 value range.
Well, again, even it's high-priced guys that you may want to stay away from. Let's say the highest-priced guy on the board, most people can't fit him in your lineup.
And then 90% owned.
Well, but he may not be. My point is that high-priced guy could be 5% owned because he's not being taken because they look at a salary of $9K. Well, I didn't do that this week, but there's lots of scenarios, so don't let the price point dictate your play on where they fit. It's just got to be on your gut, your feel.
Well, this would be a roster. The second roster that you put up would be a gut and feel roster.
An
because
analysis.
It's a wide variety.
Yes, and it's also what I feel that will be low ownership. Like, for instance, read it off. You got
Well,
Garoppolo.
you got Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Your running backs are Chris Carson,
Right,
and
in a great spot.
Miles Sanders.
Yep,
yeah.
from who's been moving up on draft
Right.
boards. Yeah, for sure.
Then you have Robert Woods
Yep.
from the LA Rams. You have Kerry Galladay.
Yep. Kenny
from
Galladay, right?
Kenny Galladay. Kenny. I don't know. I'm old. I can't read.
That's okay.
And now you have a common player. You have 2 common players from your previous roster, which would be Adam
Thielen
Thielen
and Henry. Yeah.
And no, you don't have Henry.
Oh.
You have Evan Ingram.
Oh, Ingram. Okay,
Because
you're
he
right.
was
Tight ends.
cheap.
You're right. Right. And I got Kelsey in the flex.
You got Kelsey in the flex.
Another high-end
and
player.
You're really stuck on them Seattle Seahawks.
Like the Sea Chickens today. Yeah,
Like
for
'em
sure.
a lot.
On the defense. So again, 2 different lineups. If you just want to be real
Screenshot it,
smart
people,
today,
write it down.
Yes, just post
There
and
they
paste
go.
yours, and
there it goes.
Let's have some fun.
Oh, it's gone.
Let's have some fun.
We will have fun. It's going to be
Yeah.
a fucking ride. It
Let's
really
have
is.
some fun.
It is. Okay, cool. Okay, so, and once again, advise the people on how you should bet these.
Well, certainly in the cash games, 50-50s, they're synonymous in terms of what you're going against. Whatever you start with your bankroll, what I would suggest is if you're doing 20% of your total bankroll to start, like we did, put $100 in, take $20 today, and have some fun. How we set it up and how I'm going to set it up week after week is I'm going to take 75% of our daily allotment and put those into the 50-50s and cash games. I want to be able to build our bankroll. Those are the safest plays, and those are the plays where you can, even if you don't have a great week, you can still cash. And then use the other 25% in other things like triple ups, which we can explain you can go into, and into the larger field tournaments where it's certainly a lot harder to cash, but you have the higher upside. And our goal is to maybe 1 out of every 2 or 3 or 4 weeks is catch one of these where we can just supplement in the larger fields, add that to the bankroll, and then just keep trucking away with the 50-50s.
Well, and
so
after we go off the air, I'm going to put an idiot lineup in that'll burn another $10, but I'm going to play little games, though. I'm going to play small ones. I'm going to play multipliers.
yeah, I mean, however you
I'm going
decide.
to spread them, but I'm only going to play $10 because you know what? It's my friggin' account.
If
and I like to
anybody-
play long shots, so.
I've been doing this for almost 6 years now.
Right.
At least the science and the
you've
math
been
behind
really
it.
helpful with the long shot plays. Like last year, I hit some long shot plays that were incredible, and you were like, "I told you that guy's going to be great."
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's all about matchups. And we talked about you using Vegas as a tool. What I use it for is Vegas sets their lines, okay, and they assess, for instance, a projected total for a team or a player or whatever the case may be. I then go to DraftKings. DraftKings, they have their logarithms set up, and what they do is they assess values on a player's performance.
bye, Michael J.
If
Oh, hi, Chris Turner. By the way, Chris Turner is joining us from work. Everybody at work, we're Chris Turner. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the Gonzo Radio Show. Go ahead.
Hey, Chris, thanks for coming in.
Sports Desk.
I'm using the two essentially, and if there's a great variance between the two, let's say DraftKings has a player that's priced way up, but yet perhaps Vegas has his props at a certain spot where they've been all year, I'm probably going to lean towards taking some action towards Vegas, towards DraftKings, because there's a reason why. DraftKings has proven they have the logarithm in place. They got 1,000 different variables that go in to spit out a number.
The metrics justify the expense.
And if DraftKings figures a player's value goes up by 20%, and Vegas may not reflect that, I'm going to probably lean towards DraftKings in that situation. So especially in the props, because I think there's less variance in the prop side of things. That's what we're going to get into when we come back from break. Is all my action this year that I'm going to be giving out this year is not going to be on team wins and team totals and Chargers +3, +6. Don't care. Right. I'm going to find weakness in the props.
Okay. The report, the injury report's coming out while you're talking.
Okay.
Okay. Well, a big shout out to Lisa, who finally joined the party. She like, oh crap, lost track of time. And then Iris, who, by the way, hi Iris, hi Danny. Iris comes back with, and Lisa's like, oh crap, what did I miss? And Iris said, AB's a douche and gambling. That's not all. We do DFS. We do fantasy football. It's fantasy. It's not just gambling.
We got fantasy coming back. We got stardom, situm too.
Because it's not. We're not just gambling. That was just DFS. And once again, this is for entertainment and recreational purposes. If you have a gambling problem, please seek help.
Bullshit.
Right.
We're here to make money.
Yeah, we don't gamble.
I don't care.
We just make money.
It's legal.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the injury report, the NFL injury report, and fantasy impacts are right after this on the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. Yeah, we were just going crazy. I had the Roto World out. He has what are you looking for injuries over there? Anyway?
I got NFL injury report. I was looking at players. I got some information on obviously Evans, Diggs, all those guys.
Fortunately,
I got team by team here.
Not because it's week one. There's not a dearth of injuries for us to report. There are a few, and I mean we're not going to tell you about we're not going to tell you about offensive linemen or second string defensive line rotational players or non-impact players as far as skill position and fantasy impact. We are going to tell you about the fantasy impactful players while I close a few windows over here.
Can I ask? Can I just cut in one thing?
You're going to cut in again? Haven't you said enough today?
There are I do want to mention the left tackle that's not playing today.
Okay.
So I want to be careful because the skill positions on the line are going to be left tackle.
Will affect the efficiency of the offense. Which left tackle is that?
Tennessee's left tackle is not playing. They're starting a rookie today.
Taylor Lewan is out.
Let me rephrase that. He's not a rookie. It's his first start at left tackle. He's got 20 or so games under his belt at guard.
Myles Garrett.
that's a little concerning. Now, I'm all over Tennessee today. I think they got a shot to win that game, actually. But I did pick Cleveland to win, but I don't think they cover. Hint, hint.
You just don't like the Browns. You're a Steeler fan through and through. You're such a Steeler homer.
No. I've said
Homer.
all season, if you can give me a line for the Browns and the Raiders under total wins, I'll take it. I'm going to be right on the Raiders. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm probably going to be right. I got the Browns 1-4 to start the year. Put that down. They'll win today and lose the next 4. Anyway.
Win today and lose the next 4. You heard it here first.
Yes, let's go.
There's no bitterness there at all.
No, it's just truth. I have no emotion in this steak.
And to Brad, my tech guy, my web wizard, I have not had a chance to jump over to the new, by the way, www.gonzoradionetwork.com. Make sure you go over there. You bookmark that bad boy. It should be a portal for you to click on. There should be streaming live. There should be a window for you to click on there and go. And if you haven't done that, or you can't do that, then hopefully you were smart enough and you're now watching from YouTube.
I'm responding to a text from Adam Schefter real quick.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You respond to Adam Schefter. I'm responding to you guys just talk amongst yourselves. We'll be back in a minute, all right?
No, okay, good. So, okay, so listen.
So go ahead.
Some of the impact guys that we didn't mention, obviously.
Impact.
Diggs active. Okay.
Oh, wait, why don't I put the camera on you and I'll continue dealing with this
right.
this technical issue.
Like you mentioned,
There you go.
some of the key guys. Diggs is active. There were some question marks about him not playing because of a hamstring. He's active. I'm not playing him. I drafted him in one of my leagues. It's a hamstring issue, and that scares me. If he's well enough to play, then
All hamstrings are scary.
yeah, but not when you've already got an issue, So that worries me. I am happy about Thielen, though, in that spot even more so. A lot of players or DFS or fantasy guys think that, well, the other number one is out, so that's going to give all the attention to my guy and go ahead and start him. I don't think that's the right advice all the time, because then you have all the attention defensively on your guy as well. So I'm glad Diggs is in there, even though he may not be as effective. That's okay. I'm not looking at Diggs. I'm looking at Thielen. So Thielen, like we talked about, is a plus play today. So he's out. Evans from the Tampa Bay, also active. He was sick. He was an injury report yesterday and showed up with some sort of mystery illness, but he is active. Jordan Reed, hey, guess what? He's out. That's a surprise.
Yeah.
But it's not a concussion, I don't think, is it? Or is it lingering from
This time.
last year's 46 concussions? Kiki QT is questionable. He's an up-and-coming receiver, probably on most squads.
He's questionable in general.
Yeah, I wouldn't probably put him in your lineups.
The kid's 5'9", 155 pounds.
I know, but he's got skill.
Yeah, well, you know what?
He's got skill.
Yeah, well, I've had bigger bowel movements. He's like 4 feet tall. He's like a little kid. Yes, he's an NFL player and he's fast and he can run a 4.3 40 and all that. But you hit him once and he's out for a month.
Yeah, but you got to hit him. You got to catch him.
Okay, well,
Darren Sproles been playing for like 37 years in the league right now.
Yes,
and he's
yes.
about the same? He's thick though. He's like 5'6", 200. I mean, he's like a little bowling ball.
56 years old.
All right, one more. For you kicker fans out there, we have a kicker that's not going to be playing today. They get hurt too. Badgley.
Yeah,
Not playing.
Badgley, who by the way, Badgley, whom I took as an extra pick with the Diamond Dolls draft. I drafted Tavecchio for Atlanta.
He was high up on. He was like,
and he got dumped, dropped like a hot rock for 55-year-old Matt Bryant coming back for his third comeback. He's trying. I guess he's trying to beat George Blanda's record for playing. Or
glucosamine does work.
I'm telling you, but hey, Adam Vinatieri is still around, so
yeah.
I love Adam Vinatieri because he's got the white hair and the white beard, and he's just like, I'm 50, damn it. So, but good for him. Now
that Calvecchio got cut, he's the last Italian kicker in football right now. So,
bastards.
Yeah, I got a little something going there.
He got cut. Now you have Matt Bryant in place. So I jumped over to the San Diego offense. I said, oh, look, Badgley is available. Badgley kicked ass last year. Badgley pulled a groin.
You know what's happening here is I've had the worst kicker curse in fantasy football history over the last several years.
So it's you.
Maybe it's kind of gotten to you. Now, I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm okay with it because it hurt me bad. Kickers and me and fantasy do not go well.
Am I going to have to make you wear a surgical mask?
You need to wear the mask. You caught kicker disease. So anyway, those are the guys that are out. Those are the guys not playing.
That's really hurtful.
Don't put them in your lineups. Again, it wasn't intentional, but that's just how it goes. Why don't we get into a little fantasy weekly stuff. Start
Shout
him,
out to
sit him,
Sharkman, by the way.
start him, sit him type questions.
Start 'em, sit 'em.
Plays, guys.
I love start 'em, sit 'em.
These are guys that are on everybody's lineups. What we did,
don't mess with them.
we went through. We picked maybe half a dozen players that are very similar in potential.
Let's get to the big names first. Okay, first of all, Voldemort will not be able to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's not eligible. Okay, so there, we're done with him. That's a whole lot less than 17 minutes talking about that douchebag. Now, on to the next biggest name. That would be Mr. Ezekiel Elliott, double E, the main man, the Ohio State product, the now highest paid running back in the history of the NFL.
For now.
And he's going to play how much?
25 total plays, I believe.
Right.
So that's not touches, guys. That's plays.
That's snappasises.
Yeah, Elliott's a sit today for me.
Yeah, if you Rhino Brothers want to continue to keep him on your starting lineup, please do. I love playing against a guy who's going to be limited. That's awesome. I don't care who he is.
Yeah, I agree. So those guys obviously are. He's a not play for me today. So.
Right.
And the few times he's in there, you want to watch him. Just not so much for the performance. Even if he has 7 touches for 7 yards, you obviously he has to come out of the game healthy.
Hamstring.
Everybody's touting this soft tissue. Like we're all doctors. Like we know this guy's going to get a soft tissue injury.
He's gonna strain a glute.
These guys are in such good shape, and they train, and I'm sure he's been training all year round.
Went down to Cancun to try to make him puke.
Yeah. Anyway,
and he failed.
Sit Elliott today. Watch him. Hopefully, he comes out healthy. You want Dallas to be viable.
And let me tell you, my opinion of Ezekiel Elliott, freak. He is awesome.
Yeah.
He is great. He is going to be great. As soon as he gets the tapioca between his ears to coagulate into an adult fashion.
He's starting to even look like Ricky Williams a little bit, isn't he? A little bit. Something happening there.
But hopefully he's not smoking a lot of weed, and that's not what's causing him to be an idiot. I think what was causing him to be an idiot his first couple of years is because he came from OSU, where you can pretty much kill people in the street if you're a member of the football team, and they'll cover it up. Okay, so he was spoiled. He could get away with what he wants. He wants to go on a fucking raping spree while he's drunk and snorting coke, walking down the middle of the street. And in Columbus, they'll cover it up. You can be whatever kind of animal you want. Okay, you're the king. You're on the football team. You rule the roost in Columbus, Ohio. I'm just saying this because I got a lot of Ohio State friends that are like, we do not. Oh my God, that's disgusting. That's a University of Florida thing. Boom, screw you, Gators. Anyway, okay, I had to get that one in.
Good, you did.
I did.
You clearly did.
I'm bitter about yesterday. The Hurricanes are 0-2. How are they 0-2? How did you lose in North Carolina? Okay, back to professional football.
Yes.
I sidetracked you real
way
hard,
off.
didn't you?
Okay, so we went through. We're going to do start 'em, sit 'em just for guys.
Yes,
okay.
Now let's get down to the real, the meat of the nut.
I went through, picked some players that are similar in price range on DraftKings, which would suggest to me that projection-wise that they're expected to put out a similar output. So we'll compare the players. We'll go to each positions. Again, these guys are on players' teams. Maybe they've got these same kind of questions as well. So let's compare 2 quarterbacks to start. You got Lamar Jackson, who we know is in Miami today.
Who will be wearing black.
Who will be wearing black. And Kyler Murray. If you had to pick one of those 2 guys today, okay, similar maybe players. I mean, guys that run the football aren't prolific passers.
Well, Jackson's playing against the Dolphins, and we have no idea what exactly the Dolphins' defense is going to look like. We only know it's going to be supposedly going to be a lesser entity than it was last year. Mm-hmm. And last year was pretty bad.
Okay, and then you got Kyler Murray with his first official start. They didn't look great in the preseason. A lot of question marks there, too.
Again?
They are at home to Detroit, who by any stretch isn't going to kill you. Now, their defense is, I think, a little better than the offense.
Detroit has made improvements. Detroit has made adjustments. Detroit has Matt Patricia. I think what you're going to start seeing going forward as we get these coaches from the Belichick tree, the New England tree, these coaches that are moving forward and they're using their version of the New England system, it's going to be closer to the New England system. As you're seeing with the personnel moves that they are making, they are not only picking up former New England players to help implement these systems, but they are also being true to it, whatever the rebuild it requires. Last year with the Lions, Patricia caught a lot of heat because he didn't make them magically into winners.
Yeah.
And he said, this is going to be a process. We are going to have to move through, and we are going to have to find our building blocks of the team and then fill everybody around. And one thing that people seem to forget is that The Patriot way is a mentality. The Patriot way is a psychology. That's the reason why you have a 7th-round quarterback who's about to go into the fucking Hall of Fame with 6th-round quarterback who's about to go into the Hall of Fame with 6 Super Bowl rings, maybe even more.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the reason why you have guys like Teddy Bruschi. Who ever heard of Teddy Bruschi before he became a Patriot? You have all of these guys down the line who were players that played for like Texas A&I, that played for like Southern Illinois, the Southern Illinois Salukis,
the Citadel,
Shadron State, okay,
Yeah.
The Citadel, and all of these guys, and they were good players, but how are they drafting them in the 3rd round, 4th round? These guys were supposed to be rookie free agents. Why? Because they passed that Wonderlic test. They passed that New England Patriots test that says this guy has the mentality to be on this team. This square peg fits our square hole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, a lot of teams have this hubris that we can coach him up. He's a freak. He's good. We'll coach him up. Sure, sometimes it works.
A lot of times, unfortunately.
A lot of times it doesn't.
Well, you know what? You're seeing it more and more now that it's not working, I think. And that's because the players themselves are taking less responsibility.
So it's the system and the systemic way of doing things in the NFL. Sorry, kids, it's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's systemic. And once you get that systemic thing and you look at the Chiefs, systemic. Andy Reid came in and put a system in place, and they have done nothing but win, 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 win.
Yeah.
Okay? And the more of his guys that he gets in there, the more they're going to win. Okay? Let's remember the Andy Reid era in Philadelphia culminated in a Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Minus the championship, they did everything else.
But they had at that apex, that crest of that wave, that McNabb wave, that Terrell Owens wave, that Stephen Smith wave, those running backs, those wide receivers, at the crest of that wave, that system was fully engaged. Okay, and they ran up against another system team and lost in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, they had a fall off after that because a lot of teams, when they go to the Super Bowl, win or lose, there's a little fall off afterwards. But the fall off afterwards and McNabb's retirement is subsequently injury and retirement, that caused a collapse, and then Andy had to go. But the minute he landed in Kansas City, I told everybody, I said, he's going to bring his system, his coaches, and he's good. He went 9-7 his first year. Everybody's like, oh, no, did he lose his way? And then what happened? The next year, they got Alex Smith. The system got to play. So it's systemic. And I think with coaches like Patricia, I brought it back around, okay? With coaches like Patricia, coaches like O'Brien, these are all off the Belichick tree. And now, of course, I bring it full circle around to Flores, but Flores is also doing a similar thing.
I think for a while,
and filling it with players with that mentality that fits that box, that fits that peg.
Breida got hammered. Matt Patricia got hammered last year, appearance-wise, other things. I think they were looking at all these Belichick disciples a little unfairly because Belichick clearly set the bar so high.
And they inherit gutted teams.
But that's part of it too. But at least what you're not seeing now is the coaching carousel that you did like in the early 2000s where you had the same coaches getting hired over and over again and just going to different teams and losing. So different philosophies, even though somewhat similar because of the approach with Belichick. I'm sure they're creating their own systems. But it's system football, like you said. It's building a system, it's staying to the system, and it's go ahead and making things work. And that's what all those quarterbacks, and I really like your quarterback, your coach, the Dolphins coach. I think you guys are finally got it right, so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
They got to fill the players in around him, though. Oh my God.
We started sit him, but we didn't finish the quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah, we're still in the middle of it.
Jackson Murray, okay. To me...
Jackson
versus Murray. Lamar Jackson
versus Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Slow down. You don't have to go fast.
I am going with probably Murray in that spot. 2 reasons. 1, they're home.
Right.
Higher Vegas total. I guess 3 reasons. Higher Vegas total.
Right.
More points expected, so I'll take the offense.
You don't believe the Lions have made improvements?
No, I think just simply I think offensively, I think both teams will score a little bit in that game. In your game, you have the heat concerns. Baltimore's on the road. You know they're defensive based. I don't want to say Lamar Jackson's limited because I can say the same thing for Murray in some sort of way because they're running quarterbacks.
Right.
But again, I just think the game script is going to be different. I think the Baltimore-Miami game script is going to be slower paced, a little more of a grind, maybe a little bit harder to get points. And the Arizona game may not be the same. I think you got 2 offenses, young, maybe a few more playmakers on both sides. For me, advantage Murray in that spot.
I have a tendency to agree, only because I don't like to necessarily bet against my team, although I get the feeling I'd make some money if I did this year.
Got to get the emotion out of this.
Got to get the emotion out
Got to
of
get it out of
Gotta
there.
Totally Klingon totally Vulcan the whole thing.
Yeah.
Klingons are all emotional.
This is not an emotional game for us anymore.
No, not emotional. I'm going to use Kulinar.
Yeah, the analysis can't be emotional. Our feelings, certainly, that is emotion, but the analysis can't be emotional.
I would say, see, with this matchup, what you're talking about, two quarterbacks where there's a whole lot of unknown variables. It's week one. There's all kinds of unknown
That's why
variables.
it's a tough matchup. I picked them.
Miami's defense could come out and be a monster. You'd be like, who expected that? And Detroit's defense could come out and be a monster. Who expected that? The air raid offense could come out, and everybody was freaking out because they were like, oh, this is their offense. They're going to suck. But the air raid offense come out and hang 54 points on their ass and 500 yards.
Week one, there's going to be some wrongs.
I mean, right out of the gate,
there's going to be some wrongs. There's going to be some wrongs, but
I think the potential for Jackson and the Ravens players to wilt in the heat wearing black jerseys is too prevalent. I'm going to go with the old school Miami home field advantage, and I'm going to say that Jackson has a much tougher row to hoe than a rookie at home, even with his air raid offense. So, yeah, I'd say Murray would be a much safer bet.
I agree with that. Also, one of the things that we don't really talk about much is pace of play. And the tout with Kingsbury in the offense is they're going to be running a shit ton of plays. And a shit ton of plays equals more opportunities, which could potentially then transfer into more points. So
yeah, bing-a-ding, bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, and when we talked about establishing a floor, if you're going to build a case for a floor, you're checking off some boxes, pace of play, yes. Opportunities, yes, and all these other things. So that, to me, advantage Murray.
I have to chime in with this. This is silly. Okay, so first of all, I love my fans, and I love my friends who are my fans because I know that they are knowledgeable football people. And what are you doing with this thing? This stupid, dumb. Okay, so in the chat room, we have Pete Kokoris, huge Raiders fan. I'm not going to say what he said about Shock the World because he tries to inject a little politics into it. But my buddy Frankie, who's coming over to watch the games with me today, huge Dolphin fan, as big a Dolphin fan as I am. He, in fantasy football, is starting Lamar Jackson over just against the fence. He's not starting him over anybody. I guess that's his starting quarterback. So.
Okay.
And Chris Turner, of course, fins up. Yes, Chris, we know fins up. I don't want to go into watching every Miami Dolphins game with a blindfold and a cigarette in my mouth, but I will. So, yeah, guys, that matchup actually, like I said, you want a known factor? The Florida Heat. That's a known factor.
Yeah.
And they're on the road. That's a known factor.
And they have the lowest total of all the games. Vegas are at 37.5.
Yeah.
Now it's gone up. Some of them show to 40 here, so there've been some line changes. So it may be going up slightly.
So that means Fitzpatrick's going to throw 5 touchdown passes.
But still at 40.5, they currently sit at the lowest total.
All right.
So again, I mean, it's your call. In that situation, you're trying to establish a floor and not take a chance and build solid.
So I'm not being a homer by taking.
Not at all. Not
Murray
in this spot. Again, just comparing those two. Now, maybe
so
Lamar.
I'm trying to be less of a homer. I'm trying.
Maybe
to take
Lamar
the out of
Jackson
it.
comes in as a top 10 quarterback scoring wise, but to me, Murray over Jackson. Okay, running backs.
Okay, running backs.
Interesting. From the same game, David Johnson.
Damn it.
Against Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley. That's a different game.
No. I'm saying Johnson.
David Johnson.
David Johnson.
Big fan.
Kyler Murray. Throwing the ball around. Or Todd Gurley. Who you starting?
Versus Gurley versus who?
Carolina.
Oh, that's a tough defense.
Tough defense. But
Very
now
tough defense.
you got the knock on Arizona, even though we just said Kyler Murray's in a better spot. Their offensive line was really bad last year.
Yeah, they had nowhere to go but up.
They were really hurt last year, but they were really bad last year.
Yeah,
and it doesn't look like
at the end of the year they had two substitute teachers and a used car salesman.
They led the league in injury minutes last year.
They had the top salesman at the cell phone store, at the AT&T store. I mean, they had they had a bunch of nobodies out there.
What I think is going to happen with the Arizona offense today is I think it's going to be somewhat similar to how we saw Chicago play their offense, even though it didn't work as well, as in
that was horrible.
mostly pre-read plays.
Right.
Get to the line of scrimmage, recognize the defense, know your first and maybe second option, and get rid of the football. And do it quickly, do it efficiently. I think that's going to be Arizona's approach. And if that figures to be true, then David Johnson has to be an integral part of that today. Multiple catches, 5, 6, 7 catches out of the backfield, as many touches as he can handle, obviously running the football, and then safe passes to guys like Fitzgerald and whoever else can catch the football.
Yeah, that pump fake run action deal where he lines up in the shotgun and he's got the running back right next to him.
Yeah.
That tore off a few runs in the preseason where he takes the snap and he goes, and then he hands the ball off. That run action.
They're going to keep defenses honest.
Some big gouge plays.
The downside of Gurley, like you said, tough matchup in Carolina. That is a high point total in that game as well. So I think there'll be points in that game. But it's just, I think, a tougher matchup again on the road as well. And if I'm looking at points per value per production, I guess in this situation too, I think I'm leaning towards Johnson at home in that game too, over Gurley. And again, the question marks with how much are they going to give Gurley the football? I've heard different stories, 75% of the timeshare, 50% of the timeshare. It's going to go based on game script. If they're losing in that game in the fourth quarter by a couple of scores, he's not in the game. If they're winning by some chance in the fourth quarter by a couple of scores, he's not in the game. Okay, if they didn't play this guy in the playoffs, they're not playing him a whole hell of a lot in week one with either a lead or either a deficit. So
here's what I'm seeing is going to happen with him. And I said this before. He is going to have 15 to 20 more receptions than he had last year or at any other time. He's going to break his career record for catches because they're going to throw him a lot of swing passes. Okay, they're going to run him between the tackles a lot less because that's where the potential for injury is. And they're going to swing him out. And they're going to run him on jet sweeps. They're going to find all kinds of ways to get him into space because he's most dangerous in space. They're going to stop pretending to run him between the tackles. He's just going to stop.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I don't think but his injury wasn't contact related. It's arthritis related. It's usage related. So regardless of wherever they put him,
they're still going to lower the wear and tear on him.
They obviously they want to limit his hits potentially. I get that philosophy, but in this situation, comparing just the two players flat out, again, a little too many question marks for Gurley, a little tougher matchup for Gurley. Even though I don't like the offense of Arizona compared to the offense of the Rams, I just think in this spot and in this situation, I think I'm giving Johnson the edge over Gurley.
Giving the Johnson the edge.
Yeah, so
NSFW.
So if you have your Johnson, swing your Johnson today.
All right, who's next, you nasty bastard?
Let's talk about some more running backs, okay?
Okay.
Le'Veon Bell?
Le'Veon Bell, everybody is hotly anticipating his debut.
I think he's going to have a big year, but we'll see. Against Joe Mixon, who happens to be a beast.
Supposedly the guy carrying that Cincy offense.
Yeah, but lots of question marks there, too. Now, real quick on Mixon. Again, I'm not a Mixon guy only for the sake because I think Cincinnati's a bad team, and I'm worried about taking offensive players on bad teams. But I will say this about Mixon. Even as bad as they were last year and even as hurt as they were last year,
a stud.
I think he had the 5th highest point production at the position when he got opportunity. And he also is ranked, I think, 2nd in terms of, they have an elusiveness rating, which is, obviously it incorporates yards after contact, the yak that we throw around and some other things, 2nd best. So the guy is a freak. He's a beast. He's athletically gifted. And when he gets the rock, he's tough to bring down.
I hear he's really good at punching women.
And he's not a nice guy either. So, but we're not doing character assessment here. We're doing fantasy assessment. So,
all right. So he's going to lead the league in women punched, and then right behind him will be Tariq Hill, followed by
a few other Kareem Hunt and a few others. Yeah. And anyway. So again,
that's a different matchup. Those are different fantasy.
But guys, here we go again. It's matchup based. It's not necessarily player based. And whether you think Mixon is better than Bell or not, Bell is at home against Buffalo. And even though I think Buffalo's got a really good defense, week 1, Bell hasn't played for a year now. I think he's got a little something to prove. And I like their spot this week. I think the Jets are a team that is going to be taking some steps forward this year. I think Darnold steps forward. I think they've got a better handing the coaching does. Offensive line is going to improve.
Robbie Anderson
last year I think was 5th or 6th in red zone targets, so obviously they've got something there in him.
The Enunwa kid, the Enunwa kid, when he stays healthy,
there's balance. I think that team's going to be pretty good. So
that was the team I was afraid that Voldemort was going to go to. I was scared to death. I'm like, oh no, not him and Bell back on the same team. No.
Yeah, well, good thing Brown didn't go. The Jets knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
there.
Gee whiz, you only went to a better team.
So Bell versus Mixon. Mixon's in a tough spot here in Seattle. First game. Now I'm all over Seattle's defense this week.
Yes, you are.
Well. So in that spot for me, I think the decision is a little bit easier. I'm going Bell at home.
Bell.
And in terms of Bell versus Nixon. Okay, let's do some tight ends. Nobody talks about the tight ends.
I've got a pretty tight end. It's taught. I've been working on it. I've been doing a lot of exercises. I've been like Kegels and things like that.
Unfortunately,
the position tight end.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I may have seen some of your tight end at one point.
I can't catch with my tight end.
Yeah, I'm not going to be going any further than that.
Different kind of tight end.
Most leagues have tight end eligibility. Some don't. A couple of ours do. So we're going to talk tight ends. And certainly in daily, it is a position you have to fill it.
Kelsey.
Let's compare Henry.
Hunter.
Hunter Henry, yes, Hunter Henry from the Chargers. And
millennial name, we know.
David Njoku.
Njoku. Whose little brother moved to tight end, by the way, this week.
Good. Let's talk about some matchups. Cleveland this year, everybody's on board.
Quit hating.
I'm not. But again, this doesn't necessarily come down to wins and losses. It's fantasy production. So they're at home against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Henry is at home against Indianapolis.
Right.
What's your take on that game between Indianapolis and the Chargers today?
Well, first of all, as far as Hunter Henry is concerned, I expect a big comeback year from him. I expect a large comeback year from him. We're talking about statistical leader. We're talking about all-pro tight end.
Okay.
Because we're talking about a young man who, before his injury last year where he blew out an ACL and a PCL, before his injury, he was on track to lead the NFL, lead all tight ends in receiving at that time. He was red hot. And that's with an injured Antonio Gates coming back and forth off the roster. He was the main guy.
Well, here's what I'll say.
Rivers went to him early and often. So
it's difficult to predict the production, but what we do try and find is the opportunity. And like you're saying, last year until he got hurt, he was second among tight ends in targets.
He gonna be the man.
So targets to me is Rivers looking his way, creating opportunity, and certainly production. So establish the opportunity. It's clearly there. No Gordon also. I think Rivers, typically gunslinger type guy, in this spot especially, could be throwing the ball 45, 50 times today.
Right.
That's a lot of opportunity. And to me, Hunter Henry is on the other end of that.
Well, listen, as much as I hate to quote Chris Collinsworth because he has the most annoying voice in sports analysis,
yeah,
him and his son, as much as I hate to quote them, Collinsworth had the best analysis of Hunter Henry's worth. He's a big guy that knows how to find the open spot in the defense. And all he simply does, and he spotlighted 3 plays where Hunter Henry simply runs 8 yards, turns around and goes, and, oh, bam!
Yeah, Phillip Rivers hits him.
He's a big target.
Yeah.
He knows where to run to get open. He's a guy who knows how to get open. You don't have to throw back shoulder to him. You don't have to lead him. He goes to where he is going to be open, and even if the defender is right behind him and he went right to a piece of film, defender's behind him, coming up a 200-pound safety trying to get it, trying to reach around him to get the ball. Boom, boom, screened him out, caught the ball, turned and ran the guy over.
Yeah.
So Henry is a prototypical old school tight end, okay, and that's what the NFL needs right now. Not a bunch of former basketball players. They need a big 260-pound mauler that can bench press 225 20 times and will punch your grandmother in the mouth to get a touchdown. And that's Hunter Henry.
Yeah, I agree. He is going to have a big year this year.
Sure,
my opinion. So
big fan.
Big on Henry this year. So clearly, I think we're going in a direction here. If it's between the two, it's Henry today at home.
I mean, and listen, and I see David Njoku's, not just because I'm a Hurricane homer or that I'm high on the Cleveland Browns, but I see Njoku having a good, steady year because there's way too many weapons on that offense.
Agree. A lot of mouths to feed.
He's got to learn to work within the system.
Yeah. He'll have games where he'll go 7 for 100 and a touchdown. There may be 2 or 3.
Sure,
but
he
then
might have some spectacular catches,
but then
too.
I'm somewhat concerned about, like I said, we're trying to establish a floor. You may have games where he's 2 for 20.
Yeah,
and
that's a low floor.
That doesn't help you in fantasy. Doesn't help you in your
Believe
season
me,
long.
I'm looking for another tight end. I've got him in one league.
Yeah. So now, I, again, do like him. And then, see, the issue here, guys, is at the end of the year when they do these assessments and these players land in spots, like you'll hear terms like, well, he's tight end number 8. Well, that's overall production. He may have gotten that production in 3 weeks.
Right.
Now, if you're lucky enough to have him those 3 weeks, well, good for you. But what about the other 10 weeks of your regular season in fantasy? Or what about the other lineups that you put in daily?
Where he's dropping 5,
Yeah,
6,
it's
5,
very
6.
difficult to predict when he's going to hit the home run. Similar situation with the New England running backs. You'll find that too.
Yep.
You don't chase production. You find opportunity. And there's a clear difference there if you're trying to establish safety and floors on these players. And
Right.
that's what our focus is. So, again,
Right.
moving
Okay.
forward. So, again, I'm Henry. I'm not in Njoku. Do we have any more? Okay, just one more real quick one.
One more real quick.
Wide receiver. Let's go Cooper Kupp
Cooper Kupp.
against Jarvis Landry. Two high-volume guys on
Technically WR2s.
good offenses, probably high-end W2s.
Right.
And I'm sure in weeks wide receiver ones. But two similar player types in terms of where they line up. They're both slot guys. They're
Right.
both on good offenses. Who are you going with? You going Cooper or are you going Landry today?
Well, being high on the Browns and being a Jarvis Landry fan still, miss you, Juice. Glad you're there. I see a higher ceiling because you have a hobbled Odell Beckham Jr. who is dealing with a hip issue. And he has been a guy who has hidden injuries before. He hit an injury when he was with the Giants last year, and for 3 weeks he was friggin' useless. Okay, useless. He didn't have the hop, he didn't have the pop, but he got out there and he played, and he was hiding a quad injury. This year he's hiding a hip injury. So I see Landry getting more involved, taking advantage of the underneath routes that you're going to have Beckham just straight line running. Okay, and he's gonna have more catches. He's got more scoring opportunities.
Okay.
I just see it
Okay.
as that simple. He's gonna have more catches and scoring opportunities.
I may be on board with you. I think it's close between those two. But I do want to segue quickly over to Beckham. I'm going to say he's not hurt because he's talking about it.
Yeah.
And this is the angle I'm going with this, especially these me players. They want to lay out as much of a case for them not to perform as they possibly can so that when they do, they look that
They're
much
a
better.
hero.
Now, on the flip side of this, if he waits and doesn't perform, then comes out and makes the statement that he's hurt, okay, that's a defense of his actions. But I think now it's about him building this persona like, oh, back against the wall, oh, I'm hurt, and then look at me. I go out 10 for 140 and 2 scores, and I was hurt. Put that in your sock drawer. Okay, to me, I think you have to sometimes read between the lines. I think I have one. So to me, I think Beckham's fine. When I heard him say, well, I'm only at 90%, or I can play through this, and all this other stuff, too many wah disclaimers. Go play football. Everybody shows up on the injury report. I don't care who you are. And by week 6, everybody and their mother shows up on the injury report.
I'm questionable every week.
Yeah, but that's crap. So
That's
he'll
not
play.
even an injury report. I'm just questionable.
He's playing. He'll perform. But in this spot, again, we're comparing Landry. We're comparing Cooper Kupp. I do like Cooper Kupp. Here's another slot guy that they moved around, and they had Robert Woods sometimes in the slot. Cooper Kupp is a slot receiver, and when he's in the slot, he dominates. And I think this year they got 3 guys in the team that can catch 1,000 yards.
He's a big ass slot receiver.
I think he has a big year this year. So
Really?
if you're a Cooper Kupp guy, I think you buy in on Cooper Kupp.
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where we compare players for players.
Okay.
We got a little gambling talk. We got coming up. I said this year that I'm going to go 65%. Okay, that's expert level. Expert level, I think, is like 63%.
All right. Well, then gambling talk.
65%.
What are you talking about gambling talk though? And once again, for amusement and entertainment purposes only,
Yes.
if you have a gambling problem, please seek help.
I would say go to the Bahamas, to the casino, but you probably have to wait a little while for that.
By the way, make sure you call the American Red Cross. I had a graphic for this, but
Yes.
completely lost
All
it.
joking aside, yes.
Call the American Red Cross. Donate some money. Donate some goods, especially things like toilet paper, diapers, tents. Buy some tents. Buy a little pup tent, one of those little pop-out pup tents. Send it over there. People are going to need temporary shelter while they're building temporary shelters and while they're rebuilding houses, because the Bahamas, especially the Big Island and Abaco, have been wiped out.
Yeah.
Flat.
Yeah.
I have a friend over there. He lived in a 2-story, 4-unit little apartment building. The entire top got blown off. Blown off. They endured 180-mile-an-hour winds for a day and a half. So if you have any friends, or if you enjoyed the Bahamas, or you're just a good person and you want to help your neighbor, by all means, get out to the American Red Cross or donate to some sort of a station.
Red Cross.
The
Just
Red
go
Cross,
Red
yeah,
Cross.
the Red
Just
Cross
flat out Red Cross.
Yeah. Or the Red Crescent, because there is also a large Muslim population over there. But go to the American Red Cross, donate money, or go to one of their drop-off stations and bring goods, because they need goods. I'm not talking about bottled water. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about insect repellent,
anything,
diapers, toilet paper, paper towels.
Anything that's in your cabinet, they need.
They need stuff.
Yeah, anything.
Okay. I love the Bahamian people. Thank you for reminding me about that, because I was going to wait till the end of the show and put up a graphic, but I don't have the graphic because for some reason I can't find the graphic. We'll talk more about it Monday night, though, because that was heinous, and there, by the grace of God, we survived that. We here in South Florida did not encounter that.
100%.
And we have encountered Cat 4s that have knocked our power out for 2 weeks and made life miserable. And that was a Cat 5. That was a bigger Andrew. And if that would have ripped right across Stewart like it was supposed to, like everybody said for a week, that it was going to rip across Stewart and rip across the peninsula, we would have been on the south side, and we would have gotten the shit kicked out of us. So enough seriousness. Let's get down to the wagering.
Wow. Okay,
because dude, I got to put my DFS lineups in really soon too.
My focus this year was to go 65%. That's what I'm hoping on. If we do that, we'll make money. But my focus this year is going to be on props. Not betting totals, not betting sides. Go find your prop guy and get these in. Here's what we're going with today. We talked about Hunter Henry having a big day today. His props are only set at 3.5 catches. Going over. Going over.
He's going to have 5.
Going
6.
over. Well, I need him to have
7.
4 would be a nice number. Here's another one. McCaffrey. They got him at 5.5 catches. That's the Vegas line. 5.5 catches. He averaged a full catch higher than that last year, prorated over the entire season.
Now, you have to explain to some people, proposition bets are pretty much bets that are proposition on specific statistics.
Yes, these are player performance based, which I can parlay and marry based on the fantasy. That's the angle I'm taking this year.
Good angle.
So not worrying about game total. I want to find player performances, exploit them, and put them in the best situations possible. So third one is I'm staying with McCaffrey. His yardage total for receptions is only 54.5. Guys, if you get the 6 or 7 catches I think he's going to get, you'll get the yards too.
80 yards.
You'll get the yards too.
Touchdown.
So I'm going with 3 overs. I'm going with McCaffrey over 5.5 catches and 54.5 yards. And I'm going Henry over 3.5 catches today.
Jot it down.
There you go.
Okay, that's it. That's the only one you got?
Get three plays every week.
Okay.
And if I go 2-1 every week, I'm in a good spot. That's my goal. That's my goal.
Right on.
So,
all right. Well,
good luck.
I think we've run out of stuff, and we've run out of time because I got to go put my other lineup in.
We got a lot of stuff to do.
My stuff to do. I got pregame stuff. So good luck to you. Fantasy-wise, whether it be DFS or in your leagues, with the exception of all 3 people that I'm playing in the 3 leagues that I'm playing.
Yes.
The worst of luck to you.
And hit me up on Twitter if you have any DFS advice through the season. I will answer any questions. You know I like talking about
Twitter
this
handle?
stuff. It is MLB Joy Us.
Real easy. Major League Baseball Joyous.
Yes. And that's Instagram
MLB,
too.
So. At MLB Joy Us.
Yes. So come find me.
And, of course, you can also catch him on the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Facebook fan page, too. Pick a venue, any venue.
Post your questions during the week. I'm at this every day. I'm at this every day.
At Matthew Masaracchio or at Mazz, or just tag him, and he will answer your questions, that's for sure. Okay, well, I think that's a wrap. Anything else?
Football's here.
Football's here.
Everybody have a great day, a safe day in your travels, everybody, and enjoy the day.
Yes, because it's the most wonderful time of the year, man.
Yes.
I feel like putting up a tree and wearing a special hat.
Christmas in September.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, well, on behalf of myself and this guy, say goodbye to the nice people, Mazz.
Goodbye, nice people.
Make sure you catch us again, once again, every Sunday, 11 a.m., with all the latest info and all the latest propositions and all the latest hoopla about the NFL and fantasy football and wagering. And once again, if you have a gambling problem, seek help. I'm Big Daddy Gonzo. This has been the Sports Desk. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.